Hey there, this is Catherine Cartwright. Welcome. I've got a fun video today. This is going to be all about the Today Special Grand Marquise machine that is coming from Diamond Press that is going to be at hsn.com. So I've had a couple of previous videos. One of them was an unboxing of the Grand Marquise. The second one was I worked with some other dies just to show you how much this machine can do now in terms of size and taking larger dies. And then this one is going to be all about everything that is included in the Today's Special. All right, so there is this die set that is included. This video is long, but if you're interested in learning how to use this product, stay tuned. All right, so we've got all the instruction sheets. There is the die included that makes the box, or it makes a box that pops up in a card, so a box card. So there's a lot of information in this. If you have any questions, I'll just say leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. But hopefully I cover everything for you. All right, so I have die cut this out. And the first step is this is from the die, the main die of the gift box. It says, you can see there's the blue lines over on the left. And if you get this, you're going to get all of this that I'm showing on camera, the printouts. So these are included in the kit. Diamond Press is great about doing instructions. So I'm folding on all of the folds of the box, and because that's the first step. So I'm going to make sure the tabs are folded and the top is folded, the little tabs that go down. Okay. So once I have that folded, then I am going to flip this over. You really want to pay attention to the pictures. You're going to flip this over because I want that tab that is on the end of the box on the other side. And you can see it looks just like the picture. And then I'm going to fold that tab in. Okay, and it shows that you're going to add some glue to it. So this will allow me to close this together to create the beginnings of my box. All right, and I am using liquid glue. You can use red line tape or strong adhesive if you prefer. I personally have a lot of success with the liquid glue. It wets those fibers in the box, and if you let it dry really well, it is very, very sturdy. But that is going to be your preference, but I probably would go with the liquid glue for that reason. All right, and I'm just getting my box together. The good thing about liquid glue is that it will move on you, so you can move it if you don't line it up just right, which I've kind of gotten off a little bit on this. And so I'm just tightening that up, and then I'm going to let that dry really well. And you can see it starting to come together, and then we will have some more gluing to do. I am going to use my bone folder a lot. That's an extension of my hand, and I love it for things like this for boxes. It allows me to get places I can't reach. Okay, this is where you could stamp if you wanted to. There's some stamps included in the set. I'm going to do that in the next box, so stay tuned for that if you want to see how that is going to work. All right, and now I'm going to stand this box up again, looking at the picture. And I'm going to put that center tab into the back of this other panel, okay? And then you'll see that it's going to go into the bottom to create this box. And I'm trying to show you my hands in the way just for a second, and then you'll see that I'm sticking those sides in there. All right, so the next step is to glue this tab to the back of this panel. And I want to press that well. And then I'm going to use probably my bone folder on this to add a little bit of pressure to make sure that it sticks in there really well. And you can see I've got a good bit of glue. I'm going to be kind of, rubbing it off my fingers. I'm a bit of an over gluer. I'm very generous with my glue, and especially on this bottom, you're not going to be able to see any little bits extra. So I just want to make sure that my bottom is nice and sturdy. Okay. So let that dry, and then I'm going to come back here. The next step is to add these tabs. They're going to go into the bottom of the box. And I just thought this was genius, the way that you could turn this into a box so easily, or a pop-up. And they're going to have an auto ship on this that will have different, they're not pop-up cards, I don't believe. I think they're going to be different shaped boxes and such. I'm not 100% sure on that. Beth will have all the details on HSN July 15th, which is when they will debut that. So if you want to see more, and she's going to have a preview on the 10th of July also, just depending on when you're watching this video. All right, so again, I've got those tabs in there, and then I have a box. Look how quick and easy. And now I can fill it, I can decorate it, and so the next instructions are just to decorate it. I have gone ahead, I stamped and die cut a bunch of things to have to work on these projects, just because I knew this would be a long video, and I really wanted to keep the main thing of putting these, showing you how to put these boxes together. And so a lot of that stamping and stuff I've done off camera, just for reference. I'll do a little bit of stamping on camera. But the box is about 2¼ inches. I finally had to pull my ruler. I was trying to look at the little holder, the little ruler on my mat. But it's about 2¼ inches. And so it's not going to hold a gift card, but it does hold a good amount of treats. I can tell you that, and I'm going to show you that at the end once I get this decorated. All right, so here are some of the pieces. I stamped this sweet little Santa on some of the red cardstock using that solvent ink. It's gold and rose gold, copper, and silver, and they are beautiful. If you're looking for an ink like that, there's going to be a palette of ink coming out as well. And so that's what I did with the Santa, is I just stamped him with the gold ink. So pretty. All right, so I have this little tree that I stamped. There's this little stamp that are the berries on the tree, and so I just wanted to add that on there. And then to finish off the sweet little tree, you could leave it just plain if you wanted. There are also some little ornament stamps in this set. The stamp set is huge. There's also a deer. There is a gingerbread man that you won't see, I don't think, in here, because I don't think I used it on that. But maybe in my samples. And stay tuned till the end. Also, I've got some additional samples that I made off camera, and so I want you to see those too if you're interested. All right, so I've got all my little pieces ready now. I've got my little tree stamped. It's so cute. But there's some ornament stamps that go on it as well that look really cute. And then I'm going to add my Santa on the opposite side. I did some candy canes, of course. I love candy canes. I'd love to know if you like candy canes. That's one of my favorite holiday treats. I love them. And then I've got this, there's some beautiful foliage dies in here. These are just 2 of them. I feel like there's maybe 3 or 4. And then I've got this sweet little stocking here that I'm going to add on top of that, kind of like the greenery is tucked. That would be cute to add a couple more pieces of greenery into the stocking. That would be really cute. And you could even write, if you wanted to, you could take a little marker and write somebody's name on that. Oh, how adorable. So I foresee this box being used for a multitude of occasions. For Christmas, you could do a box like this and use it as a place setting at your table. You could put a monogram on there. Just take one of your dies with a letter and put it on top with a circle, making it into a personalized box. You could fill the box with candy. You could fill the box with a note. Maybe at Thanksgiving, you could make a Thanksgiving box. Oh my goodness. And then obviously there's birthday, as you covered. You can use this for so many different occasions and events. So just so much fun to be had with that, I think. Lots and lots of ideas. And I hope that I'll have the ability to make a few more items before this comes up, just so you can see it. But you can see how many mints that I just put into that box. I put probably, I don't know, at least 10, a good number. It's a good size box. And then I'm going to add a ton of adhesive on here so this will stay closed. You could close this up with ribbon. You could use something else if you wanted to, a little tape, if you didn't want it, really glued down and closing up the box where it's torn. But I wanted to make sure mine was sealed well. I am going to add a little something extra I had not planned on. I decided I had the Merry Christmas to put on top, but I wanted to add a little bit of a flower on the top, the poinsettia, and I'm going to use some of the pink cardstock. This cardstock I'm using is coming up as well from Diamond Press, and it is awesome. I've almost used all of it up, And so I'm using just little bits that I have left. I only have a few whole pieces left. And so I have really, really enjoyed it. So I'm using a pink here. I've used up all the red. And so I'm going to have some pink flowers, which are very appropriate. I love that you can get these flowers in white, in red. I've seen them in a pink. And then look at the detail on that die. Just beautiful. But I wanted to ink it a little bit. And then I'm using that little kind of trio looking of berries, I guess, and that's going to go in the center of this flower. Okay, and I'm using my shim on this Marquise. You can see I've been using that. I'm using my older folder because I had just a little small thing to cut, and so the bigger Marquise, the bigger machine, you can use that and extend your crafting supplies and still use the folders that you had from your original Marquise, which I think is just genius. It's so smart. All right, so I'm just taking a little tiny little ink dauber here, and I'm just blending some of the Joy ink around. It's kind of a berry color, and I'm just doing a little bit on there, and then I'm going to go try and go a little bit lighter. I want to have a little contrast between the two layers if I can, and then I'm going to adhere these two together. How cute. So just really quick and simple to add a lot of detail, and it makes that those deep embossing marks in there, deep cuts in there, show up even more. Okay, and then I'm going to add my little center of flowers on here. You could add a little bit of stickles or some glitter glue for a little something extra if you wanted to. Just really, really pretty and so easy. All right, and then again, there's all this great foliage you could add onto if you wanted to. Underneath it, I did that on one of my samples. You'll see that in a little bit. Okay. So I've got these glued together, and now I can finish off my box. It's nice and sealed up, and I'm just deciding where I want to place my sentiments. So there's a Merry Christmas stamp, a Make-A-Wish, Let's Party, and I think Best Wishes. There's Hooray and Cheers. There are a ton of sentiments in this set, okay? And then I'm going to add my little flower on there. So you have so many different occasions that you can use this for. All right, so that is a really cute and easy Christmas treat box. Fun. All right. So now I've got a little bit of paper here. I'm just going to pull out a couple of colors. I know I want to make a yellow box in my pop-up, and I'm going to use this blue. And then you're going to need a 5x7 card base for this. So I'm going to use the blue for that. But first I need to cut out my box again. And then there's also this little piece that goes with it. That these are the pieces that you will glue inside your box to create the pop-up. So you'll add your little elements to it, like your gingerbread men, your balloons, things like that. So you can see this paper fits beautifully in this folder. This is the largest folder in the Grand Marquise. If you have not learned about the Grand Marquise, if you just were looking around, go back to, I'll have both of them linked in the description, but the second video will show you using some other dyes, some other brands and such, and you can see how much you can use with this great big folder, which is awesome. And so I'm going to cut this out, and then you can do up to 3 pieces of the little add-in pieces for the box. And I'm going to make 3, but I'm going to end up using 2. And so I'm just going to run this through again. I'm just going to tape this down. I don't really need to tape it down since it's already so small, but I'm going to take my shim here and then my folder, my original folder, and I'm just going to run that through, and then I can do that again. And I have all of the pieces that I need to do this pop-up. Okay. And here is my last one. And then we can start putting it together. And I'm doing this not too sped up because I want to make sure that I show all the details of this die set and how awesome it is to use. Okay. All right. So now we can, I'm going to do some stamping. Here's my card base. Okay. So I've got the 5x7 card base. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp mine first. In the directions, it says to do it after you glue it together, but I just went ahead and did it, and I didn't have any problems. So that's up to you. Now, I will give a tip on this when you're stamping. If you decide to do what I'm doing, stamping before, make sure that flaps are at the top. If you're using the heart one, I made that mistake. I wasn't paying any attention. You don't want the kind of triangles at the top. You want for your stamped image. So if you used a different stamp, but if you use those hearts, you want to make sure that they're facing the right direction. Okay, I made that mistake. So I'm going to want my tabs. I'm going to call them tabs up at the top. All right. Now I'm going to pull out some of the, I'm going to use Silent Night on this one. And I am just going to kind of go for it. You'll see my head in here a little bit because I have to get a little bit closer to see things now with my advanced age. With my eyes getting a little bit older, it's a little bit harder to see, but I'm going to try it. And so I had good success. I've done this, I think, once before with the hearts, and then also I've used these cute, I guess they're kind of like a starburst or something. They're really, really cute. I could see heat embossing these two, but I thought the blue would be really pretty against this yellow, and you could see it very well. All right, so I'm having good luck so far. I haven't dropped my stamp, which I'm notorious for doing, kind of fumbling it and dropping it onto my paper, but I have made it through, I think, and I'm going to finish this without any smudges or hopeful big drops on there. So we'll have to start over. All right, so now I am ready to move on, but then I decide again, I'm just kidding, sorry, I changed my mind again. I'm really just kind of freestyling this and coming up with ideas as I go. So the tabs at the top will go down in the box, and you'll see that in a minute. And so I decided to go ahead and add some more stamping to it. And I want to make sure my box is going to go together. Those tabs are going to go outside of the box. And so I'm just going to take the opportunity and stamp. I wouldn't want to do this after I put the box together. I think it would be a little too challenging for me. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add some of these cute stamp sentiments. Now these have a banner. There's a banner die that I don't use in this video, but you'll see it in one of my samples. There is a banner that you cut in two pieces. There's the main banner and then the little, what I call tails that you can add on the end. And so you can use these. They fit beautifully in there, but I decided I wanted to use these in a different way. And so I'm just going to use this ink and stamp this into my box. All right. And it'll make sense more when it comes together. Okay. So now that I've finished that off, I am ready to now start putting it together. Okay. So this is where we're going to do some trimming. We're going to trim off these tabs. You can see in the instructions, we want the four main tabs at the top are not going to be touched. It is these bottom triangle pieces that have these little tabs that we are going to cut off. Okay. So you're just going to nip those in, and then we can start assembling our box. So it's really, and when you do it, once or twice, it becomes so easy to do because you know exactly where to cut, and you can see where we trimmed it off. I'm just showing you this for reference. We just trimmed off those edges, those little tabs. Okay, now it's going to instruct us to fold at these creased lines. Now I have already folded my top tabs, so I went against a little bit of it by doing that, but you could you can not do that part and just follow the instructions like you should. And then I'm going to fold this last tab here. All right. I guess I could have just flipped it over without folding my tabs, but I did it. Okay. So now I'm going to glue again like we did in the first one. And I'm going to fold this down, and then I'm going to add another bit of generous glue. I can tell I'm going in the right direction because I've got that tab to the left, and it is coming in to meet the other side of my box. All right. And I'm just going to kind of stand that up a little bit, line those up, press, and then I will let that dry again. Let that dry really well before I move on. And you can see this is starting to come together. I'm going to pull out my bone folder again, my handy bone folder. I love it again. I know a broken record about this, but I really love the bone folder to give me the ability to press down on that. All right, and so now we are ready to put this into our card. So I've got my card base already, the 5x7 card base already, and this is going to go into that card. And I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit, making sure that it is glued well into there. So I'm getting my instructions sheet out again. I'm going to flip this over, and you can see it's going to settle in here into this middle, and then we will adhere this down and it will pop up. It's so much fun. You could put some pattern paper in here if you wanted to before you start gluing. And so I'm just reading the instructions here. I'm going to apply the glue to the back of the tab from what is facing me now. And I'm just reading the instructions. And again, you'll have those, and then you will glue the other side. So I'm going to begin with that kind of, I'm going to call it the inner tab on this, because it's the opposite side of where I'm closing my card. And so I'm just looking for the placement. You can see it really matches up to the picture, and then of putting it up against the center of my card base. Okay, if you've ever made one of their pop-ups, it's very similar in that way, that you want to go up into the crease of where that card is going to close. All right, and you can see I've got a little bit of the top poking out, trying to resemble the picture, and then a little bit on the right hand side. And then it will tell you to try and put your flaps close together in the center. Mine are not totally perfect, but they are pretty close. You can see that you can get it that close together. Mine is a little tiny bit off, but it still works really great. And I'm just going to add some glue here. You can see how this is going to pop up. And so you're just going to add that adhesive on there. And then, and you should just let it dry, but I'm always opening it and messing with it. Instead of letting it do its job, it's like just follow the instructions, basically. But I'm going to press in there and get it where I want it, and then I'm going to kind of close it, and you can see it's popping up. But then, again, not waiting, being impatient, the way that I can be, I'm just going to close it again, and then I'm going to use my bone folder here to make sure that it's nice and close together, and then press that down. I'm going to have to add a little bit more glue because I kind of pulled a little bit off when I was pulling it in and out, but you can see how it's going to pop up there. It's so cute. And in person, it's even cuter in person. I don't think that, doing a camera kind of does it justice. It's really, really fun and so cute. All right. So I'm going to add a little tiny bit glue here, and then I'm going to let this dry for good until I get it nice and dry, and it's ready to be used again. All right. And then I can start filling in the box once I get my tabs in there that we have. And then now we are ready to add the inside part. Okay, how cute. Really, how cute. And then you're going to fold your sides down, okay? And then press that in there, and then we're going to put our tabs in there. And this is, when I first made it, I made a little error. I folded the tabs the wrong way. So it says to fold tabs in on the support. So you're going to, I'll show you that in just a second. I'm just showing you popping it up. That you're going to fold these little tabs in to glue down to hold all of your little elements here. Okay. And you could also stencil the inside of that card too. I know I talked about doing pattern paper, but I did, you could do some stencil pieces as well. All right. So now we are ready to fold this in. So you're going to fold them into themselves, and then we're going to add our glue. It says to put it down about 3/4 of an inch into your box. I kind of varied those based on what I wanted to put in there. The gingerbread men are a little bit small, so I may have moved that up just a tiny bit, but you just want to make sure that it's not too high out of the box, that all of your elements are sticking out of the card. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second when I start adding the things in there. Okay, so I'm just going to press this in there, and then I will repeat the same process with the second one. And I'm just kind of closing it up, making sure that it's going to close, and it fits beautifully. No problems. You can see it's in there just right. And then let that dry, and then I'm going to move on to the other one. Okay, and again, adding a generous amount of glue, and then placing that in there. And I put in one of my samples, I put a bunch of balloons. I'm going to use balloons in this one. I don't have as many as I do in my sample because I just didn't make enough, but you'll get the idea of adding them in there. Okay, so that is the last step so that now we can start putting little items into this adorable pop-up box. So, so, so cute. All right. Okay, just playing with this. I can spend a lot of time doing that. All right, here's some of the elements. I forgot there are presents too in there. There's so many things in the stamp set. Here's the Make-A-Wish, Let's Party, little cupcakes, and the balloons. There are some. There's the solid one, which of course I'm loving because I love anything solid. And then there are also some with little dots, and then I think there's one with stripes maybe. So you could do a lot with the balloons. I just stuck to the solid ones. I wanted you to see too how beautiful these inks are. This little panel to the left that I'm going to put on the front of the card, those are all from the ink pads that are coming out. The colors are stunning. Okay, so I use those to create the front of that. And then these also, these little ones here, I've got 2 of those, and then a yellow one. Just beautiful. And so I'm just going to pop those in there, and I'm just making sure that I'm not sticking out too far out of the card. It really isn't a problem if you are paying attention, which I sometimes have a problem doing, but they fit in there so well and they're so easy. You could use some little pieces of acetate too if you wanted to add some of the smaller elements on there. There's so many things you could do with this. Okay, so there it is. How cute. Now I'm going to add a few more elements inside the card, and then I will finish this off. And I probably, before I send this off, I'll add some more balloons because I want it a little bit more full. But I just wanted you to see how cute they are. And then I'm going to add the Let's Party inside, and then I can finish off the front of this one. So, so, so cute. Thought about adding the cupcake, but it doesn't quite fit on there. You'll see in some of my samples that I put some of the other elements on there, but since I stamped on there, I don't want to take away from my cute little stamped messages in my card. And now I'm going to add this little panel here that I made of the balloons, which is just so fun. So you can make all this stuff with the box set, and then you also could create a ton of cards with these stamps and dies. So in addition to getting an awesome die cutting machine, you are going to have a ton of stamps to use and dies. Okay, so here's Make-A-Wish. I'm going to glue this directly on, and then I will add this sweet little cupcake to finish it off. So you can see there's just a lot of things you can do with this, and you can make any kind of theme you want with previous stamps and dies that you may have from Diamond Press. Just the possibilities are limitless, up to you. Okay, so there is the card with the little stamp sentiments on there. I think that's cute with the Let's Party. And then here is the box that I made in the beginning with filled full of candies. So 2 totally different looks here, just really, really cute. And then stay tuned and I'll show you some of the samples, but you can see how fun these are. And don't forget, this includes this awesome die cutting machine that helped me cut all of these items. So it's just a great today's special, and be sure and check my previous videos for more details on that. And this one of my samples, I stamped with some of the greenery. This one I added some pattern paper. You can see that little banner, the Merry and Bright. I added there's some little lights included, stamp and die. There's the little deer, and then some greenery. I mean, there's so many things that I didn't even show you in the 2 items I made. Just really, really cute. Okay. And then I've got another card here that I made also. And remember, these are 5x7. And so this one includes these beautiful presents. Here's that cheers that I mentioned. There's also, I think, best wishes. So some more sentiments that you didn't see on this one. And I used the 5x7 background to create that. This one, there's a little bottle in here that says cheers to, these little cupcakes, and just a ton of elements that you will have a great time using. Okay, so there is the other pop-up card. And then I also made some boxes as well, so let me show you those. I've got 3 boxes to show you. And this first one, definite Christmas theme. Got some more of the greenery on there. This is where I stamped the hearts on there for the background with this sweet little Santa and the candy cane. And there's the little gingerbread man. He's so cute. Adorable, adorable. So this one, I just added a circle on the top and then added some greenery in my flower. This one, I die cut a scallop circle in there, put a piece of acetate, and now you can see the treats, the candies in there. I die cut a piece of pattern paper and added that on there for the background, and there is the little ornament that you can see on the tree. Okay, and another little gingerbread man, so cute. And then this one, I made a baby box, a little shower box. Could you imagine using this for a baby shower when someone comes? If you're hosting one or you're having something at your house. And this set is a recent one that Diamond Press released. I mean, you could do anniversaries. You can do so many different themes with this. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was very long. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And I hope that you enjoyed seeing what all this awesome set can do, and from Diamond Press, and also enjoying the amazing machine that is included in this bundle. So thanks again, and have a great day.